right. Okay, here we go. All right. Again, thank you so much, you guys, for coming tonight. I was just explaining before I hit the record button that if you're here watching this right now, you're somebody who has seen my weight loss story. You might be somebody who, you know, knows somebody who's heard my story, and you are obviously somebody who has struggled with your weight in the past. And I'm going to try and mute a few here as well because I can hear it in the background. There we go. You guys always be able to come off mute later, but sometimes we hear things in the back. So you've heard my story, and I just wanted to come on and tell you guys like what I've done to lose 60 pounds super fast. And actually, it is a total of 85 pounds from probably my highest weight that I've lost. And as somebody who is works full time, I've got 3 jobs, I've got 3 kids, I'm going to be 50 next year. There's, I have a lot working against me. I also have 3 autoimmune diseases. I have Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid disorder where my thyroid does not work at all anymore. I am on complete thyroid replacement. I've got discoid lupus, which is an autoimmune condition of my skin, and I have seronegative rheumatoid arthritis, which affects my joints and causes a whole host of inflammation. Now, I also want to tell you that my background is in biochemistry and medical laboratory science. So when I started dealing with some of these issues, the immediate response that somebody like me has is to start digging into the research. And I also want to let you know that I am not a medical professional who diagnoses or treats anybody. I am just sharing all of the things that I have learned over the years, the things that I've tried that have worked and that haven't worked and have gotten me to where I am today, where I have now in the last year lost 60 pounds very quickly and have kept it off. So I'm going to share some of the science behind what is going on in your body and why your body is working against you, and kind of go from there. So I'm going to show you a picture of me that I swore to God I would never, ever share with anybody. It stayed in my phone for a very long time, and I said I would never let anybody see it. But I remember when I was struggling at 210 pounds and I'm short, that I would go and I would look at other people's before and afters trying to find motivation. Like that's where I spent my scroll whole time at night, was looking for people's success stories, because I thought, boy, seeing somebody else's success story was surely going to motivate me into getting, 80, 90 pounds off of my body, right? Well, I don't know if it really did, but I do know that it gave me a sense of hope. So I'm going to show you this picture while I tell you my timeline of what I've been through since probably in the last 20, 25 years. So here we go. So this is a picture. And if you guys know me or you're part of the company that I'm with, you probably have seen this picture now, because now I've been sharing it. I've been sharing it for probably the last 6 months because I thought, this may help somebody. So I'm going to back up to probably after having my kids. My first baby, I gained 75 pounds. I was probably 125 pounds at my wedding. That's probably the smallest I've ever been. And after having my first child, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And Hashimoto's is an autoimmune thyroid disorder that makes weight loss very, very, very difficult. I'm still trying to let people in the waiting room. This is crazy. Your thyroid is a huge piece of your metabolism. So from that, I found that I was having brain
I don't know.
fog.
We're trying to figure it out. There's a lawyer involved.
I had brain fog. I had difficulty losing weight. I was cold all the time, lots of hair loss. I had a lot of issues with that. From there, I ballooned up to, that's probably where I got up to over 200 for sure the first time. And as I was starting to look for ways to lose weight, because as women, that's what we always want to do. And sorry, there's men on here too. I dove into the world of paleo and CrossFit. So I want to say this goes back to probably 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And I did very well on this diet. I found that eating all of the things that walk on the earth, swim on the earth, grow out of the earth was a really great way to help me lose some weight. And I did lose some weight, and I loved the CrossFit community, but I found a lot of inflammation with the excessive weightlifting and the stress that it was putting on my body. And I also found that it just seemed really hard to follow. but I did lose probably 30, 40 pounds. But then what happened? I gained it back, right? Then comes baby number 2, baby number 3. And at any given point in time, I'm always found myself hovering around the 200-pound mark. And this was frustrating. I had done Weight Watchers. I had done the cabbage.
And I will talk to you later.
Okay. All right.
I had done so many different diets, calorie restriction, keto diet, Atkins diet, you name it. I would lose 30 pounds and I'd gain it right back. I couldn't stick to anything. And I think that a lot of you guys can probably associate to that, right? How many of you guys have tried some type of a diet and you can't stick to it? I think that is the most challenging piece of doing something is the hunger and the food noise takes over and all you can think about is what you can't have, right? So I'm gonna be talking a little bit about that piece of it too. So fast forward to 2020, and this is where my world of biohacking really came into play and where I really started diving into, okay, now what is going on? I need to completely understand what is going on in the human body from a biochemical perspective as to why I can't stick to things, why my body's not losing weight, and what is going on. So that started in 2020. Now, 2020 is when I found intermittent fasting. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried this. I'm going to talk a little bit more detail about this as well. With intermittent fasting, you guys, I lost 72 pounds. I want to say this is a pivotal point in kind of figuring out my metabolism and how things work. And don't worry, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on that in a minute. That was fantastic. That was right after COVID and finding like I had gained so much weight because we started baking. We started doing all of the COVID things that people are doing because they were stuck home. Oh, we were eating 3 meals a day, eating all the snacks, watching movies in the house, that kind of thing. So yeah, COVID was not good to me. So that's when I kind of hit a point where I'm like, I got to do something. And a friend posted on Facebook, like, I need to do something. I need help. And a friend, Luann, posted, I have read, and some friends of mine have read 2 books. And one of them was called Delay, Don't Deny by Jen Stevens, which is an intermittent fasting book, and The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung. I immediately read both of those. And I want to say probably 50% of what I'm going to teach you tonight came from those 2 books. And I'm going to share those books here again in a little while. So 72 pounds comes off. So as I'm going through, I'm doing well, doing really well. I even started a plan called 75 Hard, which is 75 days of 2 workouts a day, following a diet that is pretty intense. I did that, and an unexpected death in the family derailed me completely. From there, I started gaining weight back again. I got back in my old habits. Food noise came back. I wasn't intermittent fasting anymore. I ballooned back up to darn close to that 200-pound mark again. So fast forward to where we are about a year ago. A year ago right now is when I sat down with myself and I said, now, you know, I have so many tools at my disposal right now and so many things that I've learned. How can I paste these things together to see if I can really hack this metabolism issue and get the weight off for good? And what I have found is what I'm going to share with you guys tonight, because I think this piecing together of what I do has not only caused me to lose these 60 pounds, but I've kept it off for like 6 to 8 months. Okay. So that's what I'm going to walk through with you guys here tonight and kind of hopefully keep it down to layman's terms. Like, I teach clinical chemistry, and that is one of my fortes, is like, how can I teach this in a way that makes sense and keeping it simple? So that's what we're going to do. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about here, if I can get this slide to switch, there we go, is something called metabolic syndrome. And this is a state that I was sitting in. And this is a state that a lot of people are sitting in. What is metabolic syndrome? This is having at least 2 out of 5 of the things here that I'm about to mention. Okay. And this is a huge problem with the standard American diet and how we've kind of all been raised to eat. Okay. So this is just normal eating and what this can cause over time. If you have a fasting blood glucose greater than 110, if you have a blood pressure greater than 135/85, if you have a waist circumference greater than 35 as a female, greater than 40 as a male, and you guys, that's around your belly button, not your belt loop, okay? If you have in fasting triglyceride level greater than 150, and if you have an HDL, your good cholesterol, less than 50, okay? 2 out of 5 of those point towards something called metabolic syndrome. Now, metabolic syndrome, they say, I think like 2 out of 3 Americans actually have this or are on the cusp of it, okay? You're feeling sluggish, okay? You want that vitality back, you just don't have it. You are oftentimes hungry and thinking about food, okay? You have difficulty losing weight no matter what you try. It doesn't matter. You try it, it doesn't work, okay? Insulin resistance has crept in at this point in time. Now, I was lucky enough throughout this whole span of time that I've shared with you from having baby number 1 all the way through to last year. One of the things that I did find in that time frame is an integrative medicine doctor who has become a good friend of mine. I just love her to pieces. And he tested my fasting insulin level. And my fasting insulin level was 26. And that doesn't mean anything to you if you're not a laboratorian, but normal should be less than 10. Okay. Mine was 26, 2.5 times where it should be. So what this caused and what this led to us to believe is you are sitting in a place of metabolic syndrome, along with some of the other issues that I had, which was a blood pressure that was creeping up over the years, my central obesity, that picture that I showed you, my waist circumference was about 42 inches or more. Okay. My triglycerides were okay. My HDL wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I was definitely in this position. Weight loss was impossible. It felt like intermittent fasting seemed to be the only thing that would work. And even that was getting harder to stick to. So that is metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance. So how does this work against losing weight? So I'm going to show you insulin's role in fat loss. Okay. Now, a lot of you are like, I don't know my insulin level. I can probably guess that if you have difficulty losing weight, you're hungry often, you get dizzy when you're hungry, you get hangry, right? Those are big signs that you have high levels of insulin, okay? So what is insulin? Insulin is what you hear from a lot of diabetics, right? They have to take insulin to survive, type 1 diabetics. But let's look what insulin does in our everyday life. I have this picture of this cell. It's a blue cell sitting there. And when we eat sugar, we need insulin as the key to let the glucose into our cells for cellular energy, okay? But if you're getting way too much sugar in your diet, and we're not just talking sugar here, guys, carbohydrates, pastas, breads, rice, let me think. Still letting people in the waiting room here. This is crazy, and I keep losing my cursor. Anything that would be a complex or simple carbohydrate, even fruit, all of those, okay? So in order to get the sugars in the cell, you need insulin. But if you have a diet that is high in carbohydrates, or primarily carbohydrates, okay, you are constantly trying to shuttle this sugar into a place and it has nowhere to go, okay? So let's look at the refrigerator here on the left. Now, when you eat carbohydrates, okay, they are stored in the refrigerator. You can only fit so much in the refrigerator. How much fruit can you fit in there? How much leftover carbohydrates and potatoes and pasta and all of those things can we fit in that refrigerator? Once the refrigerator is full, okay, this is filling your bloodstream, filling your liver, and filling your muscles with extra glucose or sugar, it has nowhere else to go but to be stored as fat in your freezer, okay? You cannot get the fat out of your freezer until you eat the things out of your refrigerator first. Does that make sense? Like you use up the stuff in your fridge before you're going to go in your freezer out in the garage and start grabbing that food, right? You want to use the food that's going to go bad first. So we're going to use the sugar first, and that's what your body does. It's going to burn up your sugar in your bloodstream. It's going to grab the sugar out of your muscles and your liver before it ever taps into burning fat. But there's another piece to this, and that's insulin. When your insulin levels are high because you're constantly filling your refrigerator, that key to open the fat burning in that freezer isn't going to happen until we bring those insulin levels down, okay? And people get so confused about this. They'll go on a diet, the same diet their friend is doing. Their friend is losing weight and they're not. And they're like, that's what gives. Nothing works. They're sitting with a perpetually high insulin level that needs to be driven down, okay? And I'm going to give you the ways that you can do this. So definitely you want to get your carbohydrates down a little bit lower. I'm not saying you can't have any fruit. I'm not saying you can't ever have any pasta, but you need to preferentially choose protein over carbohydrates at this point. Okay. So odds are you're sitting with a high insulin level. So let's talk a little bit about how you can make it so that you can take that key to open that fat in that freezer, because your freezer's locked right now. Okay. All right. And this was the best rendition ChatGPT would give me of a refrigerator with fat, sugar, and a key. Like I asked it like 16 times. I'm like, seriously. Okay. So the top 5 ways to improve your insulin resistance that you probably have and you don't even know you have. You can go to a specialized lab and get this done, but your regular doctor is not going to do this for you. So we're just going to go ahead and assume that you probably have high insulin if you're having difficulty losing weight. Okay. So number 1, the first thing that helped me drive my insulin down and make weight loss possible was intermittent fasting. And I have a slide coming up on that too to show you some simple ways to do that. And I still practice this and I talk about it every single day in my stories. But this will lower your insulin levels because intermittent fasting doesn't mean starving yourself. It means being done with dinner at 6 p.m. and not eating breakfast till a little bit later in the morning, like 9 or 10 a.m. Okay. So you're giving your body all of that time off to burn up that sugar, to bring down that insulin and allow your body to tap into fat stores. That's why this works so incredibly well. And we got more people coming in yet. Holy cow. MJ, I wish I could have made you a host. All right. Another way this works, this is why the keto diet and carnivore diets work for people, is low carb and carnivore eating. This is what I did last winter. I brought my carbohydrates down and I got my protein up. That reduces your glucose spikes and your insulin demand. Because if you're not throwing sugar into your body, you don't need the insulin. So what's going to happen? Your insulin levels are slowly going to come down over time. Okay. Exercise and strength training is great because it builds muscle. The more muscle you have, the more you're going to burn glucose and improve your metabolism. How much do I exercise? Not enough. I'm going to be completely honest on that. Okay. This isn't an exercise in weightlifting class by any stretch. Calories do matter in portion control. Okay, I'm going to talk about that here in a little while too, as I pinpoint some of these things. And of course, quality sleep and stress management. You've probably heard of cortisol, the stress hormone. The more stressed you are, the more visceral fat you're going to have around your waist from having that increased cortisol. So we're going to find some ways that we're going to decrease that as well. All right. So first, let's go a little bit deeper into this intermittent fasting situation, because this is where I went from having a ton of inflammation. If you look at my face, I almost don't recognize myself in this picture. I dodged pictures. I didn't want to be in pictures. I have a hard time finding pictures of myself, to be honest. And I kind of cropped out my family so you could see a better picture of me as I was trying to hide behind my daughter there. And I feel bad about that. I mean, I didn't want a life of my family not being able to find pictures of me if something happened, right? It becomes kind of sad. And through the process of intermittent fasting, I had been able to achieve a better physique from that. So what we're looking at with this is something simple, 16-8. Like I said, I follow this today. In addition to some other tools I'm going to give you, I am done eating after dinner. Sometimes when I'm done eating, I will eat a small piece of dark chocolate or a tiny scoop of ice cream just to get that sweetness at the end, so that I'm not sitting there 2 hours later at night going, oh, I wish I had something sweet. I don't do that because I finished my meal with something sweet. Then I've got the whole time that my body gets to burn up some of the extra sugars and things that I may have in my system. I get to tap into some fat stores. There's something called cellular autophagy. Okay. This is cleaning up the garbage cells within your body, cleaning up the garbage that is hanging around in your body, and cleaning up some of that inflammation. A guy named Yoshinori Osumi actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for discovering cellular autophagy in 2016. Very fascinating. And you can look that up on your own if you want. That was just a whole research pit that I got myself in. But this is the cellular cleanup and decrease of inflammation that can happen by giving your body a digestive break, and you're not going to die. Honestly, if you start small and you can only make it from 7 p.m. till 8 a.m., that's okay. The next day, maybe you can be done at 6:30 and maybe push till 8:15 or 8:30. Slowly decreasing your window of eating time. You can still get plenty of food in that time to get all your healthy nutrients and stuff in. But boy, does this make a big difference for people that have a difficulty losing weight because it brings that insulin level down. Okay. So that is a big trick that I have in my toolbox, man. I tell you. Another thing that I did is I looked at my protein. Now, this is huge. Every person that's coming in that speaks to me about weight loss, if you're not getting 100 grams of protein a day, you are struggling, because when your body, when you're hungry, okay, and you're grabbing for chips and you're grabbing for something sweet and something salty and all this and all that, and you keep grabbing all these snacks, right? And you can't stop. This, I truly believe, is your body trying to get more protein. Once you hit that threshold of 100 grams of protein, you stop reaching for all that other crap. People say, but Becky, I can't get 100 grams of protein. You can. You really can. You just got to plan. Okay. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You got to get it in, because if you don't, you're going to be hungry. Protein takes a long time to digest. A little bit of fat takes a long time to digest. You're going to have a lot more satiety, and all of those cravings and things are going to stop because your body's getting what it needs. Okay. Carbohydrates, I don't count carbs, you guys. I only count protein. I can eyeball how much protein things are. Like a chicken breast is 30, my string cheese is 7, my egg is 7. I drink 20 to 40 grams of it a day. I can just kind of keep track that way mentally once you get used to it. I don't count carbs. I really don't count calories. On occasion, I have. So calories do matter, okay? See this little robot looking thing here on the right? My integrative medicine doctor has one of these. It's called an in-body scan. I couldn't believe when I stepped on this thing, it told me my total daily energy expenditure. This is how many calories my body burns doing nothing in a day, was only about 1,400, because I'm a small person. So anytime I eat more than 1,400-ish without exercising, I'm going to store that as fat, right? Essentially, just keeping it simple. So if you've never had one of these done that gives you your total daily energy expenditure, or you can go online and find one that'll kind of give you somewhat similar, you'll probably find that you're eating way more than what you need to eat. So I recommend keeping track for just a few days of what you normally eat and see how much you're actually eating. You're probably eating way more than you realize, honestly. So protein, definitely keep track of that. I don't keep track of carbs and calories, but only occasionally. All right, let's talk about GLP-1s for a second, because you probably know somebody who is on a GLP-1. You are on a GLP-1. You've been on a GLP-1. I have been on a GLP-1 injection. So prior to, a couple of years ago, I think it was, prior to the plant-based GLP-1 that I'm using right now, I used a GLP-1 injection, and I was paying about $600 a month for this. It really helped me lose 20 pounds really fast. It helped with the inflammation in my body. I didn't want to keep up with paying for it, for one. And for two, I didn't know the long-term ramifications of this. It can, there's certain thyroid cancers. There's people that get gastroparesis where their intestines no longer work. There's a lot of different things that can happen with a GLP-1, but they work great. And your friends that are taking this are probably losing a ton of weight very quickly, right? Well, I got to mute a couple more people here. There we go. So this reduces your appetite. It turns off food noise, so you don't think about food. It slows gastric emptying, lowers blood sugar and insulin, improves insulin sensitivity, supports fat utilization, but we do have those potential dangers. And I know a lot of people are, have really severe side effects to it. And a lot of people just don't want to inject themselves with something. I know a couple of people that have gotten severe pancreatitis from it as well. So I'm not against these medications by any stretch, but it's not something of reach for everybody. And it can make you feel very sick. So that is something I choose not to do. But I wanted to cover it here because I wanted to share just a few of those pieces on how that can help. There we go. So other factors that inhibit fat loss that you need to look into if you're having a really difficult time losing weight: chronic stress and high cortisol. You have to find ways to cope with stress. Okay, that's huge. Poor sleep. This disrupts hunger and satiety hormones. You're going to eat horribly if you're getting poor sleep. Nutrient deficiencies. What is your diet like, if I'm being honest? I know a lot of people who eat a lot of processed foods, a lot of fast food, things that come in a box, that type of thing. Their magnesium is low protein, low B vitamins. This is going to affect your metabolism and your energy production for sure. Another one that we can't control is hormone imbalances. I would say insulin resistant is probably more likely your case than a hormone imbalance. But if you have a doctor that will check your hormones, that is super helpful as well, because insulin resistance can block fat, but also having low estrogen and testosterone can as well. I have a friend of mine who, in the last month or so, just posted, she even told me, man, I'm trying everything. I can't lose weight. Doctor tested her testosterone. It was 0. So women do have testosterone, and there are things that you can do for this. So if you find that you're still having difficulty, even with some of the things here that I'm mentioning, increased protein, a little bit of intermittent fasting, you may want to get your hormones checked. And what about dehydration? How much water are you honestly drinking? You should be drinking 100 ounces a day. Okay. Find a container. If it's a 40-ounce container, try and drink 2.5 of them. Okay. Some medications like steroids and things can cause some weight gain, certain diabetes medications, and having a sluggish liver if you are somebody who has a lot of toxins going in your body. All right, so let's talk about hormones for a second if you're a female. Do you know how many times I have people come to me and be like, I gained 3 pounds this week. What gives? This doesn't work. I'm so done. I'm so done. I wish I could find, when I lost weight, it was the intermittent fasting time. I had a Renpho scale, and it connects to your phone, and it keeps track of your weight. And see this chart here is exactly what it looked like. It was a full year, and it was scalloped like this the whole way down. And every 4 weeks, I had a 2 to 3 pound uptick, and then I would go down, and then I'd have a 2 to 3 pound uptick, and then I'd go down, then I'd have a 2 to 3 pound. What do you think was happening once a month that was causing my weight to go up 2 to 3 pounds? Right? Being a female, a menstrual cycle is going to do that. Okay. And so many people will come in, they will start a new diet, and then they'll do okay. And then all of a sudden, one day they step on the scale, they're up 2 to 3 pounds, and they quit. This is something that you really need to think about that is going to come off the next week. Okay. But people quit all the time, and you got to stop quitting because of that scale. Let me tell you, because you're doing everything right has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you gained 2 to 3 pounds of fat. Okay. So I decided to throw that in there. This next one, I get very unpopular with some of my friends with this one sometimes because people come in, they try a healthy lifestyle and helping them along, and they're drinking Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You get thirsty Thursday, then you got the Friday fish fry, then your girlfriends invite you over for some wine on a Saturday night. Okay. I'm not speaking this as everybody. You might be like, well, Becky, I don't drink. Well, I'm in Wisconsin, and 90% of the world does. Okay. Here's what happens when you drink alcohol. When you drink alcohol, your body is going to preferentially burn alcohol first because it's a toxin. Your liver will stop burning fat. It's going to stop converting carbohydrates. It is going to stop doing everything metabolically active that you're trying to achieve for 36 to 72 hours. So if you're drinking 2 to 3 times a week, maybe on Tuesday you've got bunko, and then it's Thirsty Thursday with your friends doing happy hour, it's, whatever. And then on Saturday and then maybe Sunday there's Packer game. Okay. What's happening? I can't lose weight. Well, your body cannot burn fat in the presence of alcohol because the order of substrate metabolism is it's going to burn the alcohol before it taps into the refrigerator with the sugar, before it will ever even think about getting into that freezer where the fat is. Okay. All right. So that is the first thing with that. It also raises your insulin levels because we don't want that, right? But hello, there you go. It's going to raise your insulin levels. It's going to lower your inhibitions. When I drink, what do? I pound a pizza when I get home. Absolutely. Not saying I don't drink. I definitely love a good marg from time to time, margarita. It disrupts your hormones. It affects your cortisol, testosterone. It actually inhibits testosterone production, and we need that for muscle growth and metabolism. It disrupts growth hormone as well. It impairs your sleep and recovery. I don't know about you, but anytime I drink, wake up in the middle of the night, puddle of anxiety, but have a difficult time falling back asleep, definitely hurts that. Adds a lot of empty calories, 7 calories per gram, even if you're drinking all of the carb lists and all of those things. You guys, I know this is a very unpopular slide with a lot of you, and I'm really sorry, but this is something you need to consider when you can't lose weight and you start blaming the diet, you start blaming the tools that you're using. Like, oh, this doesn't work. I've tried this thing, this didn't work. I tried that thing, that didn't work. There's some other pieces here you need to look at, okay? And this might be one of them. And I understand how this works. When I have my margarita, I know exactly what it's going to do to me. All right. So, not switching on me. There we go. So what are some tools that I use? This is where we get in the meat potatoes here of what does Becky do, okay? Intermittent fasting. I do it every day. And some days are better than others. Some days there's longer fast, some days there's shorter fast. It all averages out. Give your body and your gut a break. Start small, okay? Push breakfast back. And what you can eat before breakfast is black coffee or water, and that's it. And don't come at me and say, well, I can have a Diet Coke, there's no calories. No, that's a whole other story. That has a sweet taste. Anything with a sweet taste is going to jack your insulin up, even if it has 0 calories. Okay? 100 grams of protein, 100 ounces of water a day. Eat your protein first on your plate. Eat the protein, then go to the vegetables. Save the carbs for last when you're too full to eat them. Okay? Limit your alcohol. Do not come at me and complain that the scale's not moving if you're going to choose to partake in alcohol. Be like, well, that's what you chose. You choose an alcohol over weight loss. You can't, it's hard to have both, okay? Unless you're truly starving yourself. Micronutrient optimization is huge. How much vitamin B12 are you getting? How much vitamin D are you getting, you guys? That's a big one, especially living up in the Northern Hemisphere like me and poor Mary Black that just hopped on, who lives way up in Alaska, which I don't even think she sees sunlight. This is huge for just overall feeling vitality as well, because when your vitamin D levels are low, like some depression and things set in, and then you're really not going to want to eat well and exercise. Vitamin C even comes into play here. Make sure you're getting enough of that. I also use a plant-based GLP-1 and a sugar to fiber enzyme that I'll talk about here in a second. And I have a nootropic coffee that boosts dopamine, has chromium, which helps with cravings and crashes. That one has been an amazing addition to my fasting time. And then, of course, if you can get at one, definitely get some in-body scans done so you can check your energy expenditure too. That has been huge for me to stay on top of things. So here's just some examples of the tools that I use for consistency. Now, you can just do intermittent fasting, get your protein in, get your water in, and you're going to be fine. But if that was the case, I wouldn't have lost a bunch of weight with intermittent fasting and then gained a lot of it back. I wouldn't have done all the keto diets, the paleo diets, and then gained it back. I did all of these things and I would gain it back. These are the tools that I use that have truly not just gotten me those 60 pounds off, but have kept me here. Okay, these are the tools in my toolbox. I'm just going to share the tools that I use. This isn't for everybody, but I think that if you're not getting at least some of these things in, you're doing your body a huge disservice. So of course, I just mentioned vitamin D3 with a good K2. So these are the ones I use. My doctor recommended these to me. Pure encapsulations are from Amazon. A one multivitamin has everything in it in one pill because you get pill fatigue from taking too many, right? Electrolytes, make sure you're getting enough electrolytes because it's going to help you get more water and hydration in your body. And as you saw, being dehydrated inhibits fat burning. If you're not getting enough water as it is, you might as well get extra, electrolytes in there where you can. I do use a vitamin C supplement because I don't know why this stuff is so magical, but it's got vitamin C from acerola cherry, elderberry, zinc, and D-ribose. This is like a immune system mastery, essentially, that my whole family got sick. All my kids, they got flu, strep, COVID, all of that last year. Chad and I, we didn't get sick at all. And we used this vitamin C, elderberry, zinc, D-ribose supplement. I drink some of my protein. You have to have a protein, extra protein on hand for times when you're busy. I have 13-hour teaching days. You think I can sit there and eat 100 grams of protein very easily? No, but I can drink about 40 grams of it. So I kind of alternate between a creamy protein and a clear protein. Hydrolyzed whey is super easy on your stomach, so those are huge. I mentioned the coffee before. I use a Brazilian coffee. It does not have a sweet taste to it. The one that I use is Mojo. This is an energizing nootropic focus blend, so it increases dopamine and serotonin. It's got focus aspect to it too, so it has some L-theanine for focus, but it also boosts metabolism and completely kills cravings. So if you think intermittent fasting is hard and you're like, God, how am I going to make it till like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning? I'm going to die. Well, this kills all cravings. Like I can make it till noon very easily without eating. I don't even try. I forget. And I'm like, gosh, I should probably eat. Oh, it's noon. That's how much that stuff helps me. Okay. Then I mentioned the sugar to fiber enzyme and a plant-based GLP-1 in the bottom corner. This is what I've been using to keep the weight off. And this is how I use this tool. So the canister on the left is a drink. We call it a GLP-1 drink. And I hate that because it does so much more than that, actually. It increases your body's own GLP-1 naturally using plants. So that turns off some of the food noise. It makes you feel full faster, makes you feel full longer. I drink this right when I open my eating window. I drink this first, okay? Because then I'm not just grabbing for a bunch of garbage. It also activates an enzyme called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate kinase. I geek out over these types of things. And what this does is it decreases cortisol for one, but it also helps your body tap into that visceral fat around your organs, which helps shrink your stomach. So your body is going to preferentially start burning that for energy versus other things for energy, like glucose and stuff like that, which is great. I mean, we want to burn that too, but it will help burn that visceral fat. And we know that's the dangerous fat. That's huge. It also, this is another thing it does, which is amazing, increases nitrous oxide to decrease your blood pressure by dilating your blood vessels. So it does a lot. This is amazing, total amazing B12 in there as well. And it's freaking delicious. So I drink that when I open my window. That helps prevent me from eating too much in my eating window. And then the capsules convert sugar to fiber by taking glucose, linking it together into an alpha glucan fiber so that you can't absorb the glucose through your intestines. And that helps keep those sugar levels down so you can get into the fat that's in that freezer that we mentioned earlier. So those are the tools that I have. This is exactly what I've done and what I do now over the span of the last couple of years, and the 60 pounds has come off and it is not going back on. So with that, I have my little graphic here that I made with me and all of the things that I do between intermittent fasting, protein first, my Mojo coffee, smart supplements, and keeping alcohol in check is definitely the things that I follow to maintain where I'm at. And it keeps it simple and I don't feel like I'm struggling. So with that, thank you so much for listening, but I will open the floor for some questions here. Looks like the chat has some questions. I'm going to see what we got in there. If anybody has questions, feel free to come off mute too. Let's see.
Becky, this is Lisa Anderson. I have it in the chat, but I was just wondering, how do you decide how much you can eat during your 8-hour window? I've heard that you're supposed to have so many calories that you're supposed to eat. Is there a true answer?
So her question was, you're kind of hard to hear. How many calories do you eat within your 8-hour window? I would say whatever your total daily expenditure would be a goal. Here's what I do. I don't count my calories. I get 100 grams of protein in. I guarantee you, if you eat 100 grams of protein in that eating window, you're going to have a hard time overeating anything else. I would start there. Be like, okay, I'm going to get 100 grams of protein in. How am I going to do that? Everything else is just extra credit. But if you get 100 grams of protein in, you are winning, because you know how many people come to me like, there's no way I can get 100 grams in. But if you get 100 grams in, you won't have room to eat anything else. And you're going to be giving your body what it needs from keeping your muscles and all that kind of stuff. Please, everyone, mute yourself. I was trying to mute people as we were going. Let's see. If in perimenopause, months without period, would you still expect to see that weight uptick monthly? You know, that's a good question. I had a hysterectomy, but I still have my ovaries, and I still get that little weight gain. Maybe if you've been in menopause for many, many years, no, but you're still going to be, it's going to take a long time for your hormones to get down to zero. I'd say for many, many years into menopause, you're still going to get a small uptick because you still have some female hormones. Your body doesn't just all of a sudden dry up and shrivel and all of a sudden you have nothing. It takes a long time for things to get down to zero. So yeah, there will be. Yeah, 36 to 72 hours, that's probably the alcohol. I know, it totally changes the way I look at alcohol. Because if we're going to go out to eat on a Friday and we're going to get some tacos and a margarita, I'm not going to drink again on Saturday or Sunday. Because I know darn well there's no way that, you know, I'm going to gain weight probably in the next day. LaDonna ordered support. That is a type of vitamin D, K3. That's a great one. Balance and focus for vitamins are fantastic. Yep. Can you have mojo when fasting? You can have the Brazilian coffee, but not the chocolate. So the thing with fasting is people say, well, I can have Diet Coke, right? It doesn't have any calories. Here's what happens when you drink a diet soda. And this is why you see a lot of overweight people drinking diet soda. And then I see all the skinny people drinking regular soda. What gives, right? So diet soda, when I drink it, one of my favorites is actually McDonald's large Diet Coke. That's like a treat sometimes. Like I do it like every couple of months. And when I drink that though, an hour and a half later, I want something sweet so bad. I will eat like 3 Reese's peanut butter pumpkins. Like I can't get enough of it. Okay. So what happens when you have something that's a sweet taste is your brain is now waiting for the calories. It's increasing the insulin, ready for the sugar to get there, and the sugar never gets there. So if you're sitting there like drinking sweet things that don't have calories, your body is triggering an insulin response every time you taste something sweet, even though there's no calories. So while you're not getting calories in your body, your insulin level is high and you can't burn the fat. Try and get rid of those artificial sweeteners. And like I said, I love Diet Coke. Don't get me wrong. I don't drink it every day. If we order pizza, I love a can of Diet Coke. Well, every couple of months, I'll get a large Diet Coke at McDonald's because it's like my favorite. But I know darn well if I drink it, I'm going to be like ravaging for something sweet because my body's just waiting for it. Same thing with something like the chocolate mojo does it to me, guys. It may not for other people. That is the nootropic coffee. Okay, Brazilian, yeah, just black Brazilian. Enhance. I would add Enhance, which is an MCT creamer, before I would add something sweet. Like if you have to have something creamy in your coffee, that will break a fast. How do you decide how much to eat? I just covered that. Hours for intermittent fasting, as many as you need to do to keep your sanity. When I started, I had a 10-hour eating window. Okay, so I would be done eating at like 8 p.m. or whatever, and then I would start eating again, or it was like 8, maybe it was like 7, and then I'd only make it till 9. I remember having a plate of cheese and crackers sitting there going like, I'm going to die. I want to eat these right now. I'm so hungry. Don't make yourself miserable. Slowly decrease your eating window. If you have to go from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. and then maybe do 8:30 to 7:30, okay, that's going to make it a lot easier on you. If you have a really high insulin level, intermittent fasting is going to be very difficult because you're going to be very hungry. So decreasing that eating window very slowly is going to help you bring those insulin levels down slowly over time. So, just don't dive in and try and be a me and go from like noon to 6:30 some days, because I'm not hungry because my insulin levels are so low. Where if your insulin levels are high, you're going to be miserable and then you're going to quit. So start easy and work your way up. That's huge. And honestly, that daily health system, the GLP-1 drink and the Transform, that has kept my eating under control and kept things so much easier. I don't think I'd be able to do it without it, as low carb and as many proteins as I have. Let's see, as someone that has thyroid disease, do you find that you have to get your TSH checked more frequently when losing weight? I see an integrated medicine provider. She checks my thyroid twice a year. And if I call her, and I have a thyroid analyzer in my lab, so my students actually just did my TSH today. What about plain oat milk, coconut cream, or blend-in? That's gonna break fast, got calories in it, sorry. You can do whatever you want. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying, if you're desperate and you want to get weight off fast, black coffee and water. How many days a day times do you use Activate? I just drink it at 11. Activate's the GLP-1 drink. What is the P level 1 product? That is First Form's level 1 protein. I think it's the best tasting, highest quality whey protein, in my opinion. Absolutely delicious. So First Form level 1, it is absolutely delicious. I don't like Turnouts protein, the Nourish. The pea protein's too gritty for me. Yeah, so much easier to do with that daily health system, holy bucket. So that has totally helped with all the cravings and everything, and has helped me stay completely consistent. I'm not craving sweets. I'm not craving garbage. I can get all the protein in and never skip a beat with any of it. The strawberry clear is good, yeah. I take a clear protein to work with me every day. I put it in my ice water, and I have it just next to me, and I just drink it throughout the whole entire day. Any other questions? I think we're out at 50 minutes already.
Becky, will you just hit quick on your NAD experience? I know that you recently, used that, and you also had it on your slide. So if you don't mind,
I did, and I forgot about that. Good. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, NAD is something that is newer to the market. And as I was doing some researching back in, April of this year, I found in the biohacking community, everybody was talking about this NAD, which was niacinamide adenine dinucleotide. And NAD at the time was only available in an injection or an IV drip. So what NAD is, it's the cellular energy component in every cell in your body. Okay, I should have added a slide on this. My day was busy and got away from me. So in your cells, you need NAD. NAD comes in, and you may remember this thing called the Krebs cycle when you were in like high school biology, right? So NAD comes in, it goes around the Krebs cycle, and a molecule of ATP comes out. So that is your cellular energy. And every cell needs NAD to make molecules of ATP to create energy. Well, as we get older and as we age, it does this down, right? So now you are making way less NAD than you used to. So what does this do? This makes you feel sluggish. You have a loss of vitality. Like, remember how you felt in your 20s? You had all this energy to go, 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 like the Energizer Bunny. And now you feel like you come home from dinner, like after work, you eat dinner and you crash and you're done. Like, don't talk to me. I'm still watching Netflix and I'm done, right? Wouldn't you like to have that vitality back and that energy? So I started using an injectable form of NAD. The only other option was to go to my doctor and get an IV drip of it, which was about $300 a session to have an IV for NAD. The injections were a lot more affordable, but another piece of what this does is it boosts your metabolism. So as I was using this throughout the summer, my diet got worse. So I was having more margaritas. I was eating more barbecue food, more garbage, more snacks, because that's just what we do in the summer. We go boating and do all of the things. I have a hard time keeping my weight above 125 pounds right now. I will drop below it very easily. And this is probably the first time in my life that I've ever, had such an easy time keeping weight off, but almost having a hard time keeping it on. And the only thing I could contribute to that over the summer was the usage of this NAD injection. Well, what's really cool nowadays is they've come up with a liposomal form of this. that is absorbable through your GI tract and into your bloodstream. So until now, this didn't exist, but Ternant has discovered a way in their Ternant ways, which is why I'm here, because I love all of the science that they have. It's just so freaking incredible that this can now pass through your intestines, and they've added something called choline with ellagic acid, and this makes it even more absorbable through your intestines, and it gives you almost an immediate impact of an elevated feeling of self. So you start feeling like Becky 2.0. So I come home after work, I make dinner, I put it away, I do a load of laundry, I fold it, and I put it away. And I sit down, and here I am with you fine folks doing a presentation after 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And I've been up since 4:30 this morning. So NAD does that for me. My husband has been taking it. He always had sleep issues. He's sleeping through the night. I have a lot of friends who have been using the daily health system and kind of stagnating a little bit. They added NAD, and now the weight is starting to come off. So this is an integral part for sure of helping you feel better, but also I think it's a big for that metabolism piece, especially if part of your sluggish metabolism is due to the fact that you are NAD deficient. And as we get older, we're all NAD deficient. It's a great antioxidant. It's great for anti-aging. There's a lot of reasons why I started using it, but holy cow. Unfortunately, a lot of us were given NAD a little over a month ago, and we've all run out. And there's been people that I've talked to in my messenger that are like, what am I going to do? I can't function like this. Somebody just messaged me today and said, I'm out of NAD. Gosh, what did she say? I think she's on here right now. I'm not gonna call you out, but I can't. Oh, it was in a voice clip. She goes, my world's falling apart. I don't know what to do without this for the next couple of weeks. So I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people here saying I'm having a hard time not having my NAD. Ours is amazing. My body hates me right now. I'm so ready for November 17th. I can't wait for my NAD to get here. So thank you, Brenda, for bringing that up, because that has been a huge addition. Laura ordered 7 bottles because she doesn't want to run out. I've been keeping mine on Monday, Wednesday, Friday to keep it going. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. And as somebody who has used the injections and had a bruised stomach, I sent someone my bruised stomach. I think it was Christine. I don't know if she's on here, but I'm like, I had to go back to the injections because I ran out, and I've got a black and blue stomach because it's spicy. It's a spicy shot. MJ, I can feel the difference without having the NAD. I can't wait for it to get here, she says. Yep. All right. Awesome questions. Any other questions? We are at an hour. I hope this was helpful for some of you guys. I just know I have so many people that ask me every day, Becky, help. What can I do? How did you do it? And I added these extra pieces and tools to my toolbox that have helped me get there. And I try to keep it simple. 100 grams of protein, 100 ounces of water, intermittent fasting, daily health system. Boom. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. I have this recorded, so I'll send this out to those. You can give it to people who you think would benefit from it. And my dog's ready for me to be done too. All right. Have a good night.
Becky. Thank you.
You're welcome.